Okay, so go through those. Go ahead and dump them all out on your desk, flip them over. Maybe if you look at them all at once, that will kind of help you get a good idea for the categories that we have. And you all have the same ones. Sort them into 3 categories. So you want to find like words. So for example, these aren't in here. But if I had the word PE and music, those were 2 of my cards, I might think, oh, I wonder if one category is subjects in school. Now that's not one of our categories. Let's see, does anybody see any patterns? Oh, Isabella found a pattern. Oh, Simon did too. Good. Liam, you seeing something, Ian? Good. First it was probably kind of confusing, right? Well, at first when you just saw all these words, you're thinking, what in the heck? Oh, you did just like the numbers too? Oh, Gabe is kind of doing his little pattern thing here. How many groups did I say there were? 3 groups, right. Yes. Yeah. Okay, stay quiet, Gabe. Lily, are you noticing any patterns? You are? Oh, you are. I didn't see those hidden behind your water bottle.
I only got 3.
Good. We only have 3 categories, so hopefully all the rest of the words you have will fit into those categories, huh? Oh, Max, I see a couple that don't quite belong. And here's a hint. There should be the same number of cards in each category, so that's how you might know. How we doing, Wes? You seeing any words that look like they might be kind of alike? You know there's one in there? Well, I see 2. I see 4. You think those could maybe go together? Yeah. What could that category be? Numbers. Ooh, let's try that. Good. Let's put those together. See if you can find another one. Yes. Okay, can somebody raise their hand, since I see most of us are finishing up, and tell me one category name. Liam?
Colors.
Colors. Okay, and read me 3 of the cards in your category of colors.
Yellow, green, and white.
Good. We agree? Thumbs up if you agree.
Yep.
Okay. Can someone tell me another category besides colors? Nanny?
Numbers.
Numbers. And tell me 3 of the cards in your number pile.
20, 40, and 17.
Do you agree? Did you label one numbers too?
Yep.
Yeah. And what about the last category? Ian?
Shapes.
Shapes. Read me 3 shapes in your category.
Rectangle, trapezoid, square.
Good. Now how did you know what to label each of those categories? How did you know? Why didn't you label it types of plants and things like that? Seasons. Simon?
Because it didn't match up with what was in the category.
Right. And so whenever you saw those nouns, were you kind of thinking about what they might all have in common? Because we know 20, 4, 2, and 7, what do they all have in common? Even though they're different numbers, they're all what? Stephen, what did you say?
They're numbers.
They're all numbers, right. So you can go ahead and put those back in your baggie if you're finished up. So I just wanted to start with that today so that we could work on finding categories and things that supported our categories, right? So if I tried to argue with you and say, no, I would not call that column colors. I would not call it colors. I would call it types of books.
What?
Would you say, Mrs. Phelps, you're crazy? Would you say that?
Yeah.
What would you say to me to prove to me that that category should be called colors? Oh, raise your hand, please. What would you say to prove as your evidence? Max?
Because they're all colors.
Would you go through and point at every color and say, this is a color, Miss Phelps, this is a color? What, do you agree, Avery? Do you agree with what Max said?
Because not Harry Potter in there. That's just kind of like that.
And luckily we all agreed, right? We all knew what the category names were. They were pretty easy. But if they would have been a little bit harder, maybe we could have talked to our neighbors about why we thought that should be the category name based on our evidence in that category. So now, Gabe, go ahead and put those in your bag, hon. Manny, you can go ahead and put those in your bag. Now we're going to talk about our skill for our new story. By the way, does anybody know what this next story is called yet? Have we revealed it to you, Avery? Good. Did you read on the paper? Good. Young Thomas Edison is our new story. And Rick, give me a thumbs up if you know who Thomas Edison is. You do? Some of you? Gabby, what was Thomas Edison?
Didn't he just invent the light bulb?
Yes, he was an inventor. And we will get to talk about all of those things in our vocabulary words this week. But can somebody read me the directions for this assignment? Brayden?
Read the paragraph below from young Thomas Edison and
Identify.
identify the main idea and details from this passage.
Good. So do you remember when I said the word, while we were doing our sorting activity, do you remember when I said the word details or the word main idea? Did you catch me saying that? Yeah. Well, our skill for this story is picking out main ideas and details, okay? So I printed out this fun little thing to help us learn about main ideas and details. So the details of a paragraph or a story are like the scoops of ice cream that we have to the left. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? So they support the main idea. So whenever we want to work on picking out main ideas and details, we're going to pretend that our details are the ice cream cones. Are the ice cream scoops. And the main idea of that story is like the cone. It got a little bit cut off there. So we're going to practice exactly what main idea and details means. And we're going to work with one paragraph at a time. So sometimes whenever we have a paragraph like this, have you noticed on our Google Forums for our quizzes and tests for our stories, sometimes they ask the main idea. It can be kind of confusing, right? There's a lot of sentences going on in there. But can somebody describe to me what the main idea means? What does main idea mean? Ian?
It means something about the story.
Yes, good. Simon, what do you think? Do you agree with Ian? Do you have something to add?
The specific idea of the story.
Yeah. Wes?
Where it's at.
I'm sorry?
Where it's at.
It could be, yeah, it could have to do with where it's at, right? Ellie?
It's like the main part.
The overall message, right, Ellie? And what are supporting details? If the main idea is the big picture, Liam, what are the supporting details?
It's like in the category of colors, red is a color, blue is a color.
Right.
Green is a color.
Do you agree with Liam?
Yeah.
It's the details help us prove why that main idea, they support the main idea, help us prove why that is the big overall picture. Good. Yes, Gracie?
And the main idea is like a little bit of
Yeah. Well, what if I asked you this? What if I said, okay, somebody describe to me the story of Jack and the Beanstalk in 15 seconds. Can someone do that? 15 seconds to describe Jack and the Beanstalk. Gabby.
His mom wants to sell him this cabin. He asks this random dude for magic beans, and he grows this tall beanstalk, and then giant man, and then a golden egg. And
Good. Do you think I could get the main idea of the story from what she told me?
yeah.
Because when we summarize, we give the big picture. Do you think she should have spent the 15 seconds saying, yeah, the boy pretty much has brown hair and blue eyes, kinda, and I don't know, he's about my height. The beanstalk is like really dark green. I don't know, maybe kind of like this green or something. And then 15 seconds is over. Would I know what that story was about?
Nope.
No. Gabby focused on the main ideas. That was great. Yes, Simon. Oh, okay. Give me your 15-second rendition.
It's about a boy with a beanstalk with a chicken that lays golden eggs.
Oh, that was good. He gave me the main idea like that. So let's look at this paragraph and see if we also can find the main idea, okay? So follow along on your paper as I read it. And you will also notice that laboratory was kind of highlighted. I think it's black and white now. Oh, Roman got the highlighted one. That's one of our vocabulary words that we'll talk about in a little
I
bit.
got a Harvard.
Okay, it says, Thomas loved to experiment. In 1856, at the age of 9, he turned his family's cellar into a laboratory, complete with test tubes, beakers, and whatever chemicals he could buy. It was a mess. Bottles were everywhere. Young Al would mix one chemical after another, sometimes following the experiments in his chemistry book, sometimes not. A little of this, a little of that, he used to mumble. His mother always encouraged him to ask questions, and he did. What is this? Why does that happen? How does it happen? That's it. That's just the paragraph. So, by the way, young Al is what Thomas Edison's family used to call him. You'll see that when we read tomorrow. So, take a minute to read through that paragraph, look over some of the sentences, and I want you to try to tell me what you think the main idea of that whole passage is. Dave, Roman, are you reading? I'll read it again while we're thinking. Thomas loved to experiment. In 1856, at the age of 9, he turned his family cellar into a laboratory, complete with test tubes, beakers, and whatever chemicals he could buy. It was a mess. Bottles were everywhere. Young Al would mix one chemical after another, sometimes following the experiments in his chemistry book, sometimes not. A little of this, a little of that, he used to mumble. His mother always encouraged him to ask questions, and he did. What is this? Why does that happen? How does it happen? What do you think the main idea of that whole paragraph is? If we had to pick out just one sentence. Only 5 friends know? Stephen, what do you think?
Thomas Edison likes to experiment.
Oh, does anyone else agree?
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna trust Stephen. We'll work on, we'll see if his details line up here in a minute, but let's write it down. Let's write that down for our main idea. And then we're gonna have to prove it. So our main idea, Stephen, can you tell me that again?
Thomas likes to experiment.
Good. I'm gonna say Thomas Edison liked to experiment. Are you writing this down with me? Okay, who agrees with Stephen? Oh, I'm sorry. Does anyone agree with Stephen or disagree, Brock? What do you think?
I agree with you because, it's saying, turns their cellar into a laboratory and there's, he got all his chemistry.
Did all those details in the story help you come to that conclusion? They kind of did for me. Lily, do you agree? You think Stephen's right? I know we trust our guy Stephen. He's a smart cookie, but
Why wouldn't he make a laboratory if he doesn't like doing chemicals and making experiments like grow?
right. I mean, there's only one explanation here, right? Okay, Thomas Edison liked to experiment. That's our whole main idea. Well, what if I went up to somebody and said, oh, did you know Thomas Edison loved to experiment? They said, no, he didn't. That's a bunch of